Hey, howdy, howdy, howdy. Oh, once again, no more earphones. I'll always forget, but Frank says it's alright. So, good morning. I said, I said, don't bother to ask. Oh, sorry. Boom. Let's start with what I said this morning in a post. I said, hey, anyone who wants to, what I'll do is I invite everyone. That's what I'll do. Anyone who wants to podcast, anyone who wants to be a guest, or even a host. Even if you want to be a host on, I'm just inviting everyone. I'm inviting all of you, actually. So, you want to be a host on Seeking Truth? Give me a call. Give Frank a call. You could be a host. That means you get to pick a topic, and you talk to us as though we're your guest. That could be a Seeking Truth with you and Frank. That would be Seeking Truth with you and Fraser. Let's get it going. Just give us a schedule. What works for you, kind of what days, what time about. We'll fit it in. Me and Frank, we tend to be very flexible on when we can get on. So, give us a call for that. The point, though, that I actually want to make, I wanted to say that online so that, it's in writing now, it's in words. There was an actual theme of this particular video. Oh, Frank actually wants to come along line. I'm going to say it to him while he's here. I'm going to say, it's in the title of the post, but I'm just going to say it. Tick-tack-toe, welcome to Seeking Truth with...
Hey, Fraser.
Fraser. How's it
Good
going?
morning. You're on early.
Did you see my post? I said, don't bother to call us in the morning.
Yes, you did. I did see it. I liked it
And I was
too,
like,
yeah.
this is going to be a rule. Seeking Truth doesn't go in the morning. But then I was like, oh, I'll just go on. I wanted to say something. I was like, I'll invite Frank, see what happens. But yeah, no, so here was the thought. I had this thought, and I put it in the title. I'll give you a quick download, because it was in my brain for a while. Basically, I was talking to Sean the other time, and we weren't online, but we are having this discussion. It was one of these discussions, got a little bit rough, but then it was, trying to find some common ground. And I spit this one out, and it came in line with, sort of me and my relationship with God with not needing to be through Jesus, as it were. And it gets to that, and, it gets kind of fresh, and and we get right into that. That's the basis of what Sean really wants to get to, so we go straight to that. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then I get to this one point, and I said, and I thought this was just like, and I put it in the title. It was like, but I'm talking to God who is Jesus, and you're talking to Jesus who is God. So I
Same
think we're doing
thing.
the same
They're
thing.
interchangeable.
It's just that they're not interchangeable, but they are one. So why are we saying that we're in disagreement if they are one? It came after him saying they are one. I was like, okay,
I
perfect.
don't think we ever. I don't think you ever disagreed that Jesus was God. I just think that you disagreed on general revelation, on a specific revelation. That's what you disagreed on.
Yeah, and I thought that this little phrase, like it was just one sentence that put it more clearly where I stand. Where I put them both in I put everything in capital letters, just to show kind of, if nothing else, then the respect for what I give to that position. Well, not that I would write Jesus with a small J. Sorry, that was weird. But just, sorry, I don't know what I'm saying there. Never mind what that didn't make any sense. Okay, the point I want to make is just that in that one phrase, that I'm talking to God who is Jesus, and you're talking to Jesus who is God. I
Same
felt
thing,
that
though.
kind of break it down. Like, I'm not denying that, but I'm just saying that my path is like to that one thing, Jesus, God, Holy Spirit. I'm just getting there by a different angle. And I thought that was like, ooh, maybe that clarified. Sean didn't like it. So I thought, if this thing is going to have any
Well,
meaning, it means something to me, but if it has any meaning to anyone else, I should just spit it out there. Like, God is Jesus. God, I'm talking to God who is Jesus. You're talking to Jesus who is God. So we're doing the same thing. And that was like, maybe? Doesn't that make sense? I'll throw it to you.
well, I'm not crazy about that idea either, but specific revelation was prophecy that God was going to come as a human and bring
Mhm.
us salvation. So you can't deny that without denying God. So God says we need specific revelation. He gave us specific revelation because he thought it was necessary. We've been
Mhm.
through that already.
Yeah.
So if you're talking to God and you believe that Jesus is God, and I'm talking to Jesus, and I believe Jesus is God, the two are intertwined. It's the same,
Mhm.
it's the exact same thing. So I pray to God, I pray to Father, Son, Holy Spirit, which is God, a triune being, one being, three people, right?
Mhm.
um, I don't know where your revelation has come to that, your personal revelation has come to that point, but um, talking to God, and you eventually get there. I'm assuming. We're gonna beat it into you one day, you know. But uh, we have to have specific revelation because God wanted us to have specific revelation, and the revelation that Jesus is God, came to earth, died for our sins, is ingrained in every Christian around the world through the Bible.
Hmm. Yeah, no, and I like, and that's, and then it gets to why I come to my belief system, and like you say, like that's, and Sean, and I tried to get back to it, and I think it becomes that I get repetitious. So I try and come around,
Yeah,
to a different way of saying how I believe, like verbalizing it or just like explaining why I believe what I believe to show that,
you tend
again, the messages that I'm getting compared to the messages that, and again, just how to get there. And I think we're getting to the same place, but then how to describe it. And for me, like you say, that that message of special revelation written in the Bible is the guide that you're using basically, or that again Christians use to get that relationship in my mind.
right.
Like
We're
again,
getting
trying to get to explain
you're getting
how I view that, so that again wherever we get into the sort of like, okay, now we're getting from the Bible. So Jesus was there 2,000 years ago, and now or like in his anyway 2,000 years ish ago, and he's given special revelation live, direct to the person,
right.
and then it's written down, and then 2,000 years later we're picking up that message, and again, the difference in that, just even if that was like recorded, transcribed, word for word, and then brought over time, there's still that issue of interpretation based on context. So when I do that, that's again what Jesus' message is when he says, just there was one line about Jesus has to cross your lips or something. The word Jesus, or the word, Jesus' name has to cross your lips. And then I asked Sean, like, what is Jesus' name? Like, as a very serious question. So
But
that,
you get all right. So
and
well,
what
you're
do you
getting
mean
into
by
straw
passing
man
by
now.
the lips? And so that there's little things like that, like interpreting that
Jesus'
means to
name
me
is
that
a straw man
I
argument.
don't have to go directly through Jesus. Like there's little parts where I think, okay, you interpret it that you must absolutely, every single human being must absolutely say Jesus and say that Jesus is the same thing as God, like at the same time. And so me, I'm thinking like, okay, well, the way I interpret that is that I can say God, and God is God, and I don't even say his name. Like obviously it's in my head. I'm not saying a name, but whereas you see a figure, a human figure when you're seeing God, and that's fine, and that's the way to focus in my mind towards God, so that in my mind, again, Christians, and because it's a third of the population of the world have taken that a third of the population needs that guidance, and that again the message that says every single baby needs that guidance is, for me, it's like, well, I think that maybe that might have been interpreted differently than I would interpret it, to say that Christianity again is for Christians to guide them to God, and other things for me,
Well,
and I try
whatever you
and
call it.
explain
No,
it,
it's
but
not
it's
a.
obviously it's going on in
But
my head. I try and
Fraser,
verbalize it, but it's
Fraser,
difficult.
hold on, wait.
Well,
I got
no, no, no.
three thoughts going around in my head. I gotta interrupt
Okay,
you. I
but
have
just to
to.
say why I don't think special revelations, that's kind of a new way of putting it, I feel. I'll add that up with the ones that I've already done, but nothing's worked so
Well,
far to convince you that I am having the same relationship with God as you are, but I just call it different things. Like that's
you
my point of view.
probably
That's
will.
the
I'm
whole
not gonna.
basis. That last part, I believe I have the
I can't.
same relationship as you. I just call it different things in my head. And so when I'm explaining it, it sounds different, but in my mind, it's the exact same thing. So I'm coming from the point where I believe I have the same relationship with God as you, but we just have a hard time putting it into words. And that's the only
You
disagreement.
have
So
to.
that's where I'm coming from.
The saying is, Fraser, you have to believe in your heart and say with your lips that Jesus is God, uh, died and rose from the dead. That's what you have to believe wholeheartedly. The second thing, oh God, I lost my train of thought because you went, keep going on. The name is a straw man argument in
Okay.
saying that it's a translation of a Hebrew name, Yeshua.
Okay.
Yeshua translated to Iesus, translated to Jesus. The
Okay. I thought
Greek,
that was really smart.
I
I'm like,
mean,
what
from
is
Hebrew,
Jesus' name?
from,
That's
yeah,
not a
right.
smart
From
argument. You're right.
it's a strawman argument.
That's
Greek.
dumb. That's dumb.
Well,
Yeah,
my
okay. I'll
name,
let that
my
one go.
name in French is Francis, right? That would
No,
be my name in
François.
French.
François.
Francois. Okay. So
François.
does it make it? Does it make my
Francis.
name
Oh, maybe
any
it's
less my
Francis.
name if I translate it? But Fraser,
Pardon?
does it make my
Pardon?
name any less my name if it's
No,
translated?
that's it. That's it.
Exactly. So
Exactly.
just throw me an argument. Let's throw that away now.
So, but
Okay.
then I would just go a little bit further. So, what if you're saying Jesus and I'm saying God? What is the difference there then?
But if Jesus is God and we both believe that, then we're calling.
We're calling it a different
Okay.
name. That's it.
Yeshua. The name Yeshua is oh God, it was a Hebrew translation. Let me Sean would know a little more. It's like God in the flesh or something. It means also God is
Oh.
salvation. That's what
But I just
Yeshua
mean like,
means.
what were
But
people calling him when
Yahweh,
he walked by? You said,
but,
"Hey,
all
hey,
right,
guy."
but
What were they saying when he
The
walked by?
Hebrew name of God is Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yahweh means I am who I am. That was said to Moses in Exodus chapter 3.
And I
You can
think
look
that's the
that
one
up.
we're all
That's
talking to.
Hebrew.
That's the guy we're all
Okay,
talking to.
so now we got God the Father, Yahweh, God the Son, Yeshua, and God's Holy Spirit, which doesn't have a name, it's just God's Spirit. So, and the names aren't important. It's what you believe about what God is, what God did, what God sent to us, and God's salvation.
That's it.
That's what you need to believe.
It's got to be like what it feels like more than what the word, because some people can't even say words, right? And so it's got to be what it feels like on the inside. And
But
that's
what
what
if
I
in
think.
Africa Jesus' name was all clicks? You know,
Yeah, right? It could be,
so I
oh,
mean, does it make it any less Jesus' name?
boing.
Exactly right.
That's what we call it
What's
now.
what's
Like,
his name? What's his
that's
name
it.
in Chinese? You know, and
And that,
it can be
yes.
translated to every. But God in created language. He created every language that we speak.
And
So
the ability and
in
just like,
saying right, in saying that one thing can't be translated or lose its meaning in any translation, is actually saying God won't understand a certain language, which is
which is
completely
ridiculous.
wrong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculously wrong.
Yeah, I believe that
So
too.
let's get off the translations being false and let's go into the context
Yeah.
of what is being said and not,
Because like you
you
line
know,
up like in
taking
on the
it
biblical
because you
one. So,
but you have a tendency of taking every little word apart. I'm sorry, Fraser.
no, go, go,
You
go,
have a
go.
tendency. You have a tendency of taking every little word apart, and you know it can be translated this, that way, the other thing. But losing that word in the whole context is it's a fallacy that people want
Yep.
to chase.
No, no, and I don't want to do that. I almost want to point that out in my own way that it's just sort of like, well, if we're looking at one phrase in the new international version, and then we go, well, what if we go into the old international version? And then, so just to not get
Yeah,
caught
yeah.
up in that, just to not get caught up in that you have to study Greek in order to understand God is like, holy Christ, are you serious? Now I have to understand Greek to talk to God? Are you kidding me? Or, obviously that's not what we're saying, but just and
Obviously,
in
right.
20 years, there'll be a new international version that's got clicks and dings in it, right? And that's fine. It's just like
Right, if you can
what that
understand it,
means,
right.
as long as you
But it,
understand it. Again, more inside. And then a lot of the issues, or some of the issues at least we're having, is just how to get that message that, oh, this is what I feel on the inside to the outside, especially when Sean says, no, you're missing something. I'm like, no, it sure doesn't feel like that. Like it's totally full and like of joy and love. So when you say you're totally full of joy and love, I don't know, or is that and so how to quantify it? Like even when I say like, how can you measure me? Like what do you mean? And then again, like if I accept it in the way that I have, then isn't that an agreement at least? Or but it isn't. And then so to get like, why are we still in disagreement where I feel in full agreement? Sean feels in full disagreement sometimes. One of his things was like, I disagree with everything you say. I'm like, I said like four things there. I think at least two of them were like pretty basic. It was like, I feel like there's agreement. And so I wonder why there's disagreement. So I'm here wondering why my belief system, which feels full and beautiful, why there's disagreement with yours, which
it
looks
might
full
be
and beautiful.
it
Like I
might
just
be
don't understand,
incomplete. Your belief system might be incomplete. You know, you got if you need
all
four
of
pieces of
ours
the
are, I
puzzle
think.
and you
Yeah.
have three. Well, I don't think ours is incomplete.
Not
If you got three
ours, but you're
pieces,
seeking truth too. It's our
exactly.
individual
I
one
know.
is the
I'm
one
always seeking
lacking.
truth. Always. There's
Always, always,
always
always.
a life. Life is a lifelong adventure of learning new things. You never stop.
Absolutely. Even
So
the relationship
I'm
with God.
always
Like, you
I'm
can't
always
start
open to
with like,
learning.
we
Oh
can't
yeah.
start with like, I know what it is, and that's where I get to. I'm like, I don't come in saying I know what it is, but sometimes I feel like it's like, you guys know what it is. It's like, really? You
We
sure?
don't
You know, like,
exactly know,
how
but
can one person know what it is? It's so hard,
if
right?
God is like this puzzle of a billion pieces, He
Hmm.
shows us three, like we can understand. So
Well, no,
it's like
I
this
say there's
infinite.
more. That's where I would disagree. I say there's way more than that, but those three are great. But I would say there's way.
Oh no no. Oh, I think. Okay, you
I'm
said
put a
there's
limit
way
on my
more.
data again. I was like, I wonder, before I start, I'm like, I wonder how close it is. Oh, this will be a quick one, so I don't need to check.
No, no, we never quit. We never quit, Fraser. You know that.
That's it.
Oh, I have a little homework for you. Have you seen the Passion of the Christ yet?
Yeah, holy, oh, ooh,
Yeah. Okay.
ah.
Good. Right.
Yes, I
Okay.
saw it.
You have to see the next one coming out, Passion of the Christ Part Two. It's about
Okay, I was like, what? Wait, did
Luke
I
and
miss something?
Paul.
Is there another? No, I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
about
they're coming out. Right, it's coming out.
it's
It's about
actually
Luke and
really
Paul,
good.
and you need to
Yeah.
watch that.
And
It's
I've
going to
heard
be
it's
biblical.
really, really good in how it describes the events and stuff. Well, the
And
first one,
right.
I haven't heard about the second one, I mean. But
Well,
yeah,
there's
I'll
another
watch
one.
it.
There's another point I want to get to across to
Mhm.
you, and it's the word Christian. Christian is just us describing a person who follows Christ. It was actually used as an insult in Antioch when Paul was preaching way back when. So it's about 2090, 2100, something like that. I'm sorry, 90, year 90, 80, 70, something like that. Somewhere around there. It was used as actually as an epithet against people who follow Christ. The first
Oh shoot,
people to follow Christ were Messianic Jews, which means that they follow the Messiah.
Mhm.
So they did have the Jewish traditions while following Jesus. Christianity is not a religion. It's describing a relationship with God through Christ. Anybody can have that relationship. You don't have to be labeled as a Christian.
There it
And
is. Yeah. No, and that's good. Sorry, I really should. I realized that I was like, oh wait, I had 5 minutes, and I was like, now I'm a bit more in than I thought. Yeah, I would
all
believe
right.
that, but I would be careful because there would be some like again, I don't know. I was gonna say Mormons, but that's gonna open up a ball of worms. I should really go though, but we can
Well,
talk
yeah.
later.
All right. We'll
But
talk tonight.
not Mormons,
You
but
know
just
what? Let's
some of these
address.
other
Let's.
things. But anyways, actually we don't have
Well,
to go there.
these
I
are
no, you made your point. Actually,
no,
I
no.
don't
We
want.
can. These are
We can
heretical
go,
Christian sects, but you
but
can
because of
if
what
you
you
want
said,
to.
like it opens it to again, like it's almost like, woo, maybe I'm in there, but maybe I'm not because I'm not doing it right. I don't know. We can get back into that, like what a Christian is. But yeah, anyways, I think I'll have to sign off now. But
All right.
good catch up.
This is interesting. Good. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
good morning, Fraser.
Good morning, and
Have a
we'll
good
talk to you.
day.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later. Okay.
Okay, great. Take care. Bye.